I'm joined by Dan Siskind from Brickmania, and he's going to take us through this massive D-Day layout here for some longer-term viewers of Beyond the Brick. You might recognize something we covered a couple of years ago that had a similar layout, but Dan switched up the ships and things here, and there's some new details and everything. So if you want to take us through the whole layout then?
Sure, yeah. The previous version of this, I think it had the LST in it. Mm-hmm. So the LST was actually donated to LST 325. We actually converted it into their ship. So we wanted to preserve the D-Day diorama, and this is actually what we wanted to do from the get-go, depicting it as it was on June 6, 1944. So this is like the initial waves of the Americans and Allies hitting Omaha Beach. So we shortened the amount of water because we don't have that gigantic ship in the way anymore, and it extended the beach. The diorama is exactly the same size. There's just a lot more of it now. Okay. So a lot more land. So what you see out in the water here, these are landing craft. The big ones are landing LCTs. They're landing, the one the camera's on now, that's LCM, landing craft mechanical. Basically, one Sherman tank would fit in there. They didn't like to do that because it's so heavy that it almost waterlogs the boat. We did get a nice donation of brick arm shells. So as you see, it is completely full of shells. There's definitely no smoking allowed on that boat, but they're firing their guns anyway. The bigger craft, these are LCTs. They're landing. It's a landing craft that can hold up to 5 Sherman tanks. For the sake of this diorama, we only have 2 on each. I think we've pilfered tanks off of these for other dioramas. So in the water, we have 2 of these. One that old one in the back that the camera's on right now. That's Old Gray. So that thing's been around for quite a long time. One of my older models, and then Cody built a newer version of it in front here. His is New Gray. He probably had a better use of parts than I did anyway.
You just struggle with what was available back then?
Yeah, that was built years and years ago before Brickmania was really as big as it was, and my budget was a lot smaller. So that's an old castle taken apart right there, for sure. So we have all the lit up landing craft in the water. The machine guns it's a lighting effect from brick stuff. These are, I believe, older machine gun effects boards. They kind of flash an awful lot, so it looks like those machine guns would be overheating by now at this point.
No, but it adds a great kind of popping effect. So is that kind of difficult to add into these, or talk about kind of logistics of adding lights in like that to so many of these kind of builds?
The lights they're really not difficult. The brick stuff lights, the only drawback about them, it's actually kind of a blessing and a curse. The wires are very thin and they're very delicate, so you can easily break the wires. Oh, okay. On the other hand, they're really easy to conceal. Mm-hmm. So it's 2 sides of the same coin. We're traveling a lot. We tend to stuff gets banged around. If you're building at home,
you're probably a little more intense with the models than most builders would be.
Right, and a lot of hands, because when Brickmania sets up a huge display like this, it's not just me putting it together. If I was to set this up by myself, it would be like 2 8-hour days. So I think we figured out this particular diorama, 2 people takes 8 hours to set up. 4 people can do it in 4 hours, and it's just a hugely time-consuming process. And when you have that many hands in it, there's definitely different people are going to do stuff differently, and they may not know the whole system of how the lights work, how fragile things are. So we've learned by experience to bring extra spares, lights and stuff like that. But if you're doing it at home and you know exactly the whole system, the lights are easy. Everything's easy to work with.
And that's why you do things like the parts dumping with the water, because obviously that saves time.
Yeah, if you go back and look at your old videos, I'm sure you could see that the water's blue, and we used to do a lot more with the wakes and like an hour now it's like, oh, it's too much. We've given up. Mm-hmm. So we've spent many days, many hours sorting water back to its original base colors. So here we have one of the landing craft took a direct hit from the Germans, and there's an awful lot of blood in the water here, but that's kind of the way it was. And so we usually limit ourselves to sort of PG displays, but this time we were like, okay, well, this is probably the last time this diorama. Actually, I can tell you right now, this is the last time this will be viewed by the public. So we are building an aircraft carrier, and this will all become part of the aircraft carrier. So everything that's gray you see here will be part of the aircraft carrier. Even the tan, even the beach will be inside somewhere. So.
And then we've got this crazy box-looking thing going here. So talk about what that is for people who might not be familiar with that.
Actually, to start with that, you can look at the one on the ground here. So it's the same thing. So this is a Sherman tank, and that dark tan thing, that ring around it, is what they call it's like a weighting. It's like basically a canvas boat that wraps around the tank. They drop the skirts down, raise up the sides, And then you end up with something that looks like this in the water. It's basically a flotation device for a Sherman tank. And just the air inside of that is enough buoyancy to keep that Sherman tank from sinking. And the guys were way down inside of it. They'd have to stand up on the roof. And you can see them bailing water out of it in there too. But they'd have to stand up on the roof of the tank and yell down orders like, go left, go right. So they swam these tanks ashore. It's a duplex drive. The one on the shore here, you can see the little propellers. Let me turn it. You'll be able to see the little propellers. Duplex drive, because there's two propellers sticking out of the back of the thing. It crawled through the water at like 3 miles an hour or something. So these were supposed to hit the beach first, the first wave of D-Day. And it took them so long to get to shore that the infantry actually beat them to shore. Okay. And some of them just sank outright. Like you can see those guys bailing water out of that one.
Doesn't seem like a fun job there.
Yeah, I think the Americans, because the Americans landed on Omaha Beach. On Omaha Beach, I think they lost about half of them to being swamped by the waves. The British were luckier. They landed on a more sheltered beach. They didn't have that problem. Mm-hmm. So
then as we come ashore here, what do we have?
You have the infantry. So the Americans landed during low tide. The Allies, not just the Americans, landed on low tide. As you can see, these obstacles. These are like basically like obstacles designed to destroy landing ships. So you have these wooden, they're gigantic sharp wooden objects sitting in the water covered with mines. So if a ship came and landed at high tide, it would basically hit these mines and blow up. And if you have a ship full of troops, that's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. So the Allies decided they would land at high tide or low tide, so the water's way out here. Unfortunately, it means that also there's this huge expanse of beach between the water and the waiting Germans on the other side. So this is just basically a killing zone. So all the Americans had to wade through the water all the way across the beach before they could even get to within range of possibility of even fighting the Germans, let alone getting up off the beach. So you have a lot of guys running through the open expanse. Engineers came through and blew up all these mines and stuff, but this is how it was before the beach was secured.
Yeah, and you can just see, there would have been a lot of this open space and everything, like you said. There's not a lot to protect yourself.
Right. Yeah, it took a lot of guts to run across, but if you stayed in one place, you're actually more likely to get shot by not moving because you just present yourself as a target. So this is a lot of minifigures on here, as you can see. These are all old Brickmania figures that we pilfered from our own stash to make this beach scene. So. Mm-hmm.
And then what are some of the obstacles we have as you get closer up here?
Yeah, so these are designed to destroy these out here. These are designed to destroy ships. As you get closer to shore, these black things are anti-tank obstacles. So they're called like tetrahedrons. Was one name. They're basically tank traps. So the infantry could get past them, obviously, but the tanks would get hung up on them. They wouldn't be able to get past them. So engineers had to either come and bulldoze them out of the way or blow them up. And as you get closer to the shore, the Germans had this there's basically a sand berm, like a hill with barbed wire running across the top. If you wanted to get through it, the idea was that you'd have to run up to the barbed wire, try to climb over it, and then you're an easy target for the guys waiting up on the hill. So these guys are trying to blow a hole through the barbed wire so they could get through. I mean, this is what really happened on D-Day. So. I don't know about the Captain America part. I heard he was there.
It depends on which history book you're reading.
Right. So these guys they're basically stuck at the sand berm. The next phase would be them. They actually had to get through the barbed wire, get up into the top of the hills here, and take out the Germans any way they could. So at the point in this battle right now, the Americans haven't gotten through the front, but you have some guys up on top. You have some paratroopers up on top that did manage to make it up there. Again, I don't know about the Wonder Woman part, but I heard she was there.
And then you even got kind of trenches in the built into the cliff.
The cliff. This is Omaha Beach, and the cliffs above Omaha Beach were heavily fortified. So the Germans had built bunkers into the cliff face, gigantic naval guns. Some of the guns some of the lights aren't exactly working right now. And quite frankly, since we're tearing this apart next week, I'm like, okay, I won't.
There's only so much you're putting into
it. Right. So it's traveled around quite a bit. I'm looking for, I look at this and I'm like, oh, I want all these bricks because below the surface here is just 2x4 bricks. It's like builder's gold.
That'll be the inside of whatever next big ship you're doing.
It'll be an aircraft carrier. I'll spill the beans right now.
There you go. Yeah, so how long is this whole thing, do you know?
Right, what you're looking at right now is 24 feet.
Okay.
We've made this thing as long as 30 feet in the past. Depends on where we go, what we have for table space, and what we're putting on it. So this is about average. Usually it's about 24 feet.
Do you try to build pretty much most of your displays to kind of be flexible like that? Because obviously you're taking it to different size shows and everything, so it needs to be able to move around and then be able to set up at different sizes.
Well, we typically would build to table size. So standard banquet tables are 30 inches deep by 8 feet long and so we build to that. Our own tables that we buy are 30 by 60, and we try to make it so we can shift around. That's perfect for Lego base plates.
Okay.
4 Lego base plates equals 60 inches wide, and two Lego base plates deep is 30 inches wide. So it's a standard banquet tables that work really well with Lego. So this one is one of the few ones that we can actually customize in length, because the water is just any length that we want to make it. The shore is 12 feet, and we can't do anything about that because it just gently slopes all the way down. But we do, especially some of the other displays that don't have fixed boundaries, we can make them any size we want.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's nice as you guys go to so many shows over the years and all different areas setting up.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. So we bring our own tables sometimes. If we don't have room, we rely on what the destination location has, or for like at a convention or something. Sometimes the tables are just weird sizes, and we make do. We've actually gone to TV studios to set up stuff, and they're like, oh, we were supposed to have tables for you, so we've had to improvise. We've done stuff on bar stools. We've done, you name it, we've done it. So.
Yeah, well, nice. Well, I'm glad we were able to capture this one last time before you tear this apart for the next big aircraft carrier build.
Yeah, this is a fun one, but yeah, it's time to go. We'll do another D-Day, some tie-in next year.
For sure, we'll look forward to it. Thank you.
We have Sainte-Mère-Église. It's a French town. It was one of the first landings in Normandy on D-Day, and it's really infamous because there was a paratrooper named John Steele who landed, and he got caught on the church, and he played dead for a few hours before he was captured, and it was just a complete massacre.
How did this come together? It's kind of amazing to see when people collaborate what they do. How did you guys put this whole thing together?
We were planning on it since almost Brick Fair of last year, so about 11 months ago, and we started a Skype group probably 11 months ago, and we kept going on it, and throughout Flickr and Skype, we were sharing photos and just ideas and concepts, and we put it together.
That's super cool. Now, there's a few of you here right now. How many collaborators are there in total?
There are 11 and 2 sponsors.
And we have the priest and one of his workers, and they're just chatting. And all this was going on at the same time. It was just a normal night. And then the paratroopers came down to liberate Sainte-Mère-Église. And as you can see, these Germans never saw combat until now. So the Germans, they're all freaking out. And the Americans, they're just landing. So it's kind of a scary experience for both sides. And some paratroopers even perished in the burning house right there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So any closing thoughts here on this collaboration? Do you think we'll be making a reappearance next year? Maybe a different scene, same builders? What do you think?
We'll probably do something else next year.
What I would like you guys to do, if you could, whoever is here, individually speak to maybe what you contributed, what you like about the layout, point out certain features, certain details. I guess we'll start with you. What did you do? What do you like?
I did this house and these 3 houses here, and then I did the whole church.
That's awesome. Now, building that church, what was that like for you?
Pain in the ass. Yeah.
Now, it looks like there's a ton of snot work going on. You have stuff going in all kinds of directions. How did you plan out all that work?
Kind of went with the flow. There's a lot of bricklink orders for light gray and dark gray. So
these roof tiles, that cost a fat penny.
Yeah, that was.
How much did it cost?
Probably like over $100.
A lot of money on roof tiles. Very cool. Now, were there any church builds or builders that inspired you when you were looking to make this one?
Definitely Jule Andreas.
You're very familiar with his work. Yeah, I was recognizing he has a similar style door, like entryway. I'm not sure of the exact architectural term, but very cool, very cool. Well, awesome stuff. And what did you do? What do you like?
Yeah, so I made this like French cafe. I helped a lot with the church, and I made these 2 buildings right here. This building right here, and a building down there, and some grass sections.
Very cool. Now, what was it like collaborating for you with these guys?
Oh, it was a great experience. I mean, it's really fun to kind of just because individually, you can only build so much, but when you all come together, you can really just put on these massive displays. And I think it's a really fun thing to do because you get to work with all these great people, and you get to make new friends, you meet new people. It's just it's a great experience.
Now, if you had to give a word of advice to anyone looking to collaborate like this or build something similar to this, what do you wish you knew before you started?
I would say is stay organized and stay diligent. Like, you need to make sure people do their stuff that they say they're going to do. You need to make sure it all like fits together. Have standards for like roads. See, we have roads. All the roads match up and all that. And then another thing I would say is detailed layout map. You can make them on Word. You could draw them out with a sketch thing. That helps a lot.
And then one quick point, you were nominated for, is it best battle scene?
I don't know if your camera guy got it, but
Very cool. Now, is this tactic working for you? Are you getting people to actually vote for you based off of this?
hopefully we'll see. There's a public vote, so if the public really likes it, they can vote for it for best in show, and then the attendees all can vote as well. So just
I like it.
hope it works. We'll see.
Very nice. All right. So, Hunter, what do you do?
All right, I did that front yard with the light gray tree, and I did the French door right here, and these two front yards right here with the tree. And as you can see, there's a paratrooper who got caught in the tree.
Very cool. Now, describe your building process. These are very nice buildings. What do you do when you start one of these?
Thank you. I usually plan it out, make sure how many pieces I have. I build whatever I can, and then I just place orders and finish it. There's actually an interior on the top floor, but I'll show you guys it later. The process we had for fishing lines was we got fishing lines and tied them up there, and we tied them to different houses and even tied them to the church. And we hooked up some of the parachutes, to them. That way it looks like they're landing.
So next year, do you think you might go up into the rafters and suspend a plane that would have just dropped them off? Is that a possibility?
No.
You gonna do a parachute scene? It's too crazy?
Too crazy.
It does look very realistic. Where did you guys get the parachutes from?
We got it from Elliott right here. He had the design for it. And
he just made them himself?
Yeah.
These are custom-made parachutes?
Yeah, so they're custom made. I just took some silky fabric and just cut it on the shape of a plate to get that diameter the same, and then we individually threaded string, and then we made them. And then to get these kind of cone shapes for the ones that are flying, we took a glue and water solution and put it over a balloon to make that cup shape. And then once it's dry, you just pop the needle, and then they get that kind of half dome, so it looks like air's catching it.
How did you build this interior?
I had the idea for it. I usually do interiors on all my houses. As you can see, the place got ransacked and, by the French or the Germans just trying to escape. Probably some rich dude, maybe a collaborator. Thank you.
This is really just a beautiful scene. You see these military kinds of builds, and sometimes there's not enough attention given to certain details, but the level of kind of completeness of it is absolutely impressive.
Thanks for watching Beyond the Brick. Show off your LEGO fandom with our brand new merch line. Link in the description. Now enjoy the video.
I'm Sean. I'm from Michigan. I'm 15 years old, and this is Operation Overlord, also known as D-Day. So Operation Overlord was the code name for this operation, and is the Americans coming into Normandy and invading Germany to eventually, or invading France to eventually take it back, and win the war. So, start at the very end here, the waterfront. So we got 2 Higgins boats here. One is just unloading troops, so you got 2 jumping out the side here, and the front few are getting mowed down. And on the other Higgins boat, we got a bunch of dead soldiers because it had just loaded out. And in the water, we have some other troops that are swimming in the water and getting up the beach. And also we have, I don't know the official name for these, but the brown log traps, I think. They're meant to block the Higgins boats from getting in. And they also, I believe I heard that they have mines on them. So if a Higgins boat ran into them, it'd explode. And also in the water, we got some dead soldiers as well. As we come up to the shore, we got some dead fish. This was heavily inspired from, this whole mock was heavily inspired from the Saving Private Ryan scene. So I used a lot of reference for that. So that's where I saw some of the dead fish and also some of the dead soldiers as well. And we, as we move up, some of the special scenes here, I got some medics going around in the different areas. As well as over there, there's the chaplain who are praying with the guys who are wounded and may die. As you move up the battlefield, we got the hedgehog tank traps. Also, some other special guys include the radio men. I have 3 on the mock. And so I wanted to get the 3 main sections of the beach here. So we got the unloading, and then this is like the midsection where everyone's hiding behind the traps, and then the moving up and eventually destroying the seawall up here to then get in and climb up the mountain. So on this side, they had just blown the seawall using the Bangalores, and over here they're starting to prep the Bangalores to blow up so they can really get in and take this area. Also here we got this guy exploding.
He's about to come down for a hard landing.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's a lot of individual details and stuff. One of my favorite parts here is these guys are getting shot at from one of the MGs in the bunker up here, and I tried to get the effect of the sand popping up beside them, but they're also getting hit as well. So, just a lot of cool individual details and stuff. A lot of dead guys on the mock, but and then as we move up over here, we get to the German side where the Germans are prepping, and some of them are moving around a lot, and others are going to fight. So up front, we got an MG placement with some few infantry kind of guarding him. And then as we move in, I got a trench system that runs throughout the whole back of the mock, and a lot of figures everywhere. And in the trenches, I got some Germans running around. And then we have a door at the end of the trench right here that ends up leading down into this small room right here, which is like an underground bunker where the Germans would stay and stuff like that. I got that took a lot of inspiration from, I always played the Medal of Honor games growing up, and going into the D-Day map, you got a lot of the bunker stuff, so that kind of inspired me to do that. Also behind the bunker here, we have your ammo caching and different weapons and stuff for the Germans to use. And then over here, we have a German Opel truck. I don't know what model, I just based it off of pictures. And it's like the troop transport truck, so he's unloading troops to go into battle. And then at the end of the trench system, here we have a flak gun. So flak 38 is what I based it off of. And I got a bunch of different soldiers, and I got some spended shells. And I used the ice cream pieces to create a cool smoke effect from the rocket. And final detail is some guys over there fighting. And then I installed power lines in the back just to give it some extra details.
Yeah, those power lines are always a nice added detail along roads and things. I always like that. It adds some realism to it, since that's something you would see all over. So yeah, this is quite the large build here. So did you kind of build this in sections as you went along? How did that come together?
So I planned this out before I came to Brick Fair last year because I wanted to start thinking ahead for what I was going to build for the following year. And when I got back from last year's Brick Fair, kind of laid it out. It's set up. The perfect measurements are 2x5 and 48x48 gray base plates. However, the sections are a little weird, but in the beach and up into most of the mountain, it's in 48x48 sections because I drove 9 hours from Michigan, so I had to find a way to make this work. So it had to come apart in a lot of different sections. But yeah, it definitely was able to come together very well when transport.
And then take us through some of the minifigs on each side and some of the parts you included there and the designs on those guys.
So all of the helmets and weapons used in the mock are brick arms. I got them from Brickmania, GI Brick, and all the different sellers. But the primary American soldier that I use, an example is right here. I made my own custom sticker decals to put on them. I got the design offline. And then some of the other ones I liked using the Lego minifig torsos, so like Star Wars torsos and the different old Indiana Jones line torsos for the Germans. And then I also used the new Brick Arms Brickmania sticker packs as well. Those played a lot, especially on the German side as well. And then also with the Germans, I used my own custom sticker decals. Once again, I got the design offline. And then the Brickmania sticker packs, and I don't have any printed pieces in this mock. However, I would like to include some in my future creations.
Yeah. So is this something you plan to expand on then and add more scenes to this build?
Not this build specifically. However, I do have plans to make a bigger mock than this for next year. Okay. So we'll see how it looks next year. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to expand my size of my mocks and stuff. So I started off, my first mock was a 48x48 gray base plate, and it's gotten to be as big as this. And they were all different mocks, but it's definitely cool going along the years and building different creations, and it really helps you get more creative and learn more cool techniques, which is really cool.
We'll look forward to seeing more from you in the future then, but this is a great build, so I'm so glad you were able to bring this out to Brick Fair and show it to everyone. And you even got nominated for Best Battle Scene, so congratulations on that. Definitely well-deserved. Thanks for taking us through the build.
Thank you.
My name is Aiden Bekendam, and
I am Jacob Bekendam.
Okay.
And we are from this general California, Anaheim area, and this is our mock on Pointe du Hoc, which was a family effort that we worked on for about a year, and we went there, and we've always had a fascination with D-Day, so it was fun to go and build it. So there is a big infrastructure inside made out of multicolored bricks, and we called it a BUB, which is an acronym.
Ugly building.
So that's BUB for Big Ugly Building?
Yes. Okay. And then there's the cliff, and then the famous point, and then the little rock extending outwards. And then we have 3 of the bunkers, the observation bunker and 2 of the gun bunkers. And we added in the guns for dramatic effect, even though they weren't really there. They had either fake guns or nothing. So the observation bunker is, well, you can't open up the top, but there's a little door in the back with some minifigs running out to fight the Americans. And then we don't, actually, in real life, they climbed up the west side of the cliff, but we did the east just because it's easier. Yeah. And we have a rope and a ladder, which was the 2 ways they got up. And would you like to talk a little bit about the cliff, Jake, since you were on that?
This cliff is sideways building, but the other side is just bricks on top. And we started with this first base plate, and then we did that base plate, and then that base plate, because they're on the big 4 base plates, and there's 1 base plate in the middle.
Okay, so you kind of have in sections then, like 4 major base plate kind of sections. And
Yeah.
do you break it down like that to move it as well?
No, that would have been a good idea, but
Looking back, you probably should have.
yes. We were thinking about doing it, but then we just building the cliff ended up not doing it.
Okay.
And then we can talk about the minifigures.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you want. So this is, here, I can pick them up. This is a Ranger minifigure with an M1 pot helmet, sand green torso, shirt, and a rifle. Now, the printing on here is I designed it in Photoshop.
Wow.
And it's a little it's actually an address label, and then we use a little bit of like the stuff you use on decals, and we put it on.
There you go. That's awesome.
Affordable and cheap, and
Yeah.
it offers like perfect result if you're wanting to go extremely historically accurate. And then we have our German 352nd Division Infantry, which have their, here, I can pick them up, which have got dark bluish gray, and then a Stalinheim, and then this one's got a Luger and a potato masher grenade, which was its nickname, and it has a belt, buttons, and then this intricate collar that I had some help designing, and then there's the little eagle and the 2 pockets, and then on the back it's just his belt.
So you added some really cool little details on the uniforms there.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah. And then
How did the landscaping work for you guys? I like how you've got the different plants and all the different greens.
Made it all flat, and then we took it out, and then we put more outline, and then we made it more terrainy, and we made it flat just so we know what it would look like.
the little pictures in there, you could see what it used to be. Oh, I'm knocking that over. If you go to if it's the picture on the left, far left corner, you can see how it kind of used to be flat. And then we added in like black and gray to hold it up, and then we just kind of did it as we went. And then there's the trench, which we designed around, and then the various places where bombs and shells hit, so the craters.
Right, okay.
And then
what was the rock work like on the outside here? How did that work? What kind of pieces did you use?
we used lots of the big pieces of the two types, since we have excess of those and they're easy to come upon.
Right.
Because they come in lots of city sets. And then for this one, it's actually just a bunch of sideways building that we used, and then a little bit of upside building for this one. And then for the other side, it's just various layers of bricks that stacked on top that go in conjuncture with our big ugly building.
Okay.
And then we built a hill in there, so these two are kind of like built in for protection.
Yeah, I really like that. And you've even got some photos here from the real locations. Is that the real location there?
Yeah, that's the real location. That's an overhead view, what it looks like today. Some rangers fighting on the beach on a painting, an artist rendering. What the gun bunker that we built there looks like today. So that's what it really. And then some rangers climbing up the cliff. And then the pictures on the other side, those are us on location. So that's one of the gun bunkers, and that's us inside a bunker.
There you go. Yeah, on top of the bunker. I love it. That's really neat that you guys were able to actually go to this location and see it.
2 times.
Okay. 2 times.
There's this little thing about, and more in detail than what the mock card shows, of what it is. Mm-hmm. And then we got the medic. We got 1 medic on the mock.
Nope, 2.
Oh, 2 medics. There's a German medic back there. And
Was the bunker design hard for you guys, like getting the gun to fit in there and everything? How did that work?
it wasn't that hard.
I designed it more around the gun, and I designed the gun personally myself, and I had to copy it. So it's exact same pieces.
So what we did was we designed a bunker, and then we copied it, piece by piece.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then you can just kind of replicate it for the second one.
Yeah. That way there's 2 guns ready to fire upon Omaha.
Yeah, well, this is very neat. I appreciate both of you talking me through it and telling us about the build here. I think it turned out really nice. Thank you.
My name is Hunter Fulp, and this is our collab between me and my friend Lee. And I did the beach portion of this collab. And as you see here, you have the Rangers moving up towards the beach, storming the beach portion. And as you see, we have one coming towards the shore, full of all the Rangers. And then this one over here done loaded off. And as they loaded off, they just got like destroyed by the MGs up there. And we kind of based this off Saving Private Ryan. And so we have like the guy clutching his knees like in the movie. And we just had them all just moving up towards the beach. And once they get past the obstacles, and they'll start working their way up the mountain and start clearing all the trenches and stuff up there. And we have the hedgehogs and all the blood in the water. And we have like the feet sticking out like he's drowning. And you have the guys jumping off the sides and everything. And yeah.
The little tank obstacles on the ground there are nice as well. You use like the Technic pieces.
Yeah, we couldn't find the what are they called? The plate pieces, the 1x6s. So we had a compromise to make them, and like all these explosions hitting the water, and like all the these little snow cone pieces is good for like dust kicking up when the machine guns fire against the ground, and like these little jellyfish head type things. Looks really neat.
Yeah. So then if we move on to the mountain in the background then?
So the mountain itself is based off of one of these slope pieces, a 1x2x3 slope. And then also there's a bunch of these other kind of different shaped and colored slopes to give the like snot technique. Just thrown in there at different points to give it the effect of like a more like dirty mountain, more of like a rugged mountain. And then there's two pieces of the mountain that are actually on the side that are not on the base plate, just to give it more of a less base plate look, so it looks a bit more natural, I guess you could say. And then on the top of the mountain, there's the net technique, which is basically you take a net and then you put like pieces on the top and bottom, kind of making like a fabric almost. And then we just detailed that with a bunch of bushes and detail pieces to give it like the effect of like it's been like shot at, and there's like a bunch like it's been dug up for the trenches like very quickly and everything like that.
Yeah, that net technique is so perfect for that because, like you said, it gives it that kind of realistic, rugged look that is hard to achieve with normally quite square Lego pieces.
Yeah, definitely. With the bunker there, that was basically I used a lot of those curve bricks to give like the round effect of the bunker, and then those curved pieces on top.
And how'd you incorporate the lights into there?
So the lights are from Brick Stuff lights, and it's the machine gun pack, so it looks like a machine gun. And then basically, the battery box at the bottom of behind the mountain, and then I just ran the wire up through the platform, which I built the entire top of the mountain on, and that's where the lights. I just ran them around the barrel of the machine gun, and then so they're like right at the tip of the machine gun.
Yeah, I love what you guys have done with the build because, this D-Day landing is something that a lot of Lego builders have depicted, but everyone kind of puts their own touch on it. And like you said, with the nets and the great rock work and everything you guys have done here, kind of puts your own unique feel to it. So as both of you collaborated on this, how did that collaboration process work? Were you just sending photos back and forth, or what was that like?
I came down Monday, and we started building at his house over the week, and we finally got done yesterday.
So this is a very quick build for you guys.
It was really quick. He ordered all the parts for me, and then had them shipped to his house, and I came over Monday when we started building.
Well, for that short of a build, it still turned out very nice. So I'm glad you guys can make it to the show here, and thanks so much for chatting with me. Appreciate it.
My name is Devon, and what I built here is the Omaha Beach from Saving Private Ryan. So over here is my landing craft. It's my own design. And there's some couple of dead guys around it, and then as you can see here, there's a guy holding his own arm, which is seen in the first few scenes. This guy over here, he was blown in half.
52. G52.
And then over here is my German bunker area and the hill that leads up to it.
G55.
And then the Bangalore is blowing up the barbed wire line over there.
74.
Yeah, so there's some really cool details in here, and I like how you did the mountain. What's the structure like there that's keeping that all together?
It's all hollow inside except for a couple of support beams.
63.
But all of this is really fragile. So it took a couple of tries to get right.
26.
Yeah, I imagine. And does this break into sections then, or is it just one long piece?
These two, this and this are 2 sections, and then this is one big section here.
And I really like how you designed the boat as well. What's the technique you use there, and kind of how did that work?
I just looked at some pictures and went off of that.
Yeah, very nice. And how about the bunker as well? With the tiling, it has that really, really nice sleek look on top.
So the first design for it, it wasn't that great. It was more like a box. But then I saw Brickmania's version, how curved it was and everything. So I was like, I should redo it, and I based it on that.